Welcome to Good Morning Greyhounds. My name is Logan Wong, joined with my co-host,
McKenna Machino, and joining us today is Dr. Stephanie Wideman, Associate Professor of Communication, Chair of the Communication Department, and Director of the Forensic Speech and Debate Program at UND, and the only guest that's been on this show 2 times.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thanks for joining us.
We finally got the chance to go abroad, and I think that was Stephanie's first time taking a team out of the country. And so we got there, we competed for 2 days, which competitions are usually like 1 day. Yeah. But since it was so big and so many schools represented, it was 2. And then the rest of the time we kind of did cultural things. We took a 6-hour walking tour of Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
Tokyo is very big.
I was going to say, how is that as an avid anime fan?
Yeah, yeah. So there's like different districts of Tokyo, and unfortunately we didn't go to the anime district, but it is really big. We went to Shibuya, which is like the Times Square of Tokyo, and it was giant. They have like a famous like walking. It's like, you know how like a regular crosswalks are like square? Yeah. This one also went diagonal, and so like
okay, I've only seen that in like YouTube videos and stuff. I didn't know that was real.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And so like hundreds of people at one time would like walk. So and then our last day in Japan, we went to Tokyo Sea, which is like a part of Tokyo Disney. That was really cool.
So Whitney talked a lot about her experience in Tokyo. Can you talk a little bit about yours?
It's so worth all of the preparation, all of the work that went into it. Going global, as we like to call it, last year for the speech and debate team was really, really exciting. But it wasn't like out of nowhere in fact, during COVID, we had started competing at the international competition virtually. And we had one of our students, who's now one of our coaches on the team, Kreganesu Shikadza, actually won the international championship in informative. So that kind of gave us the courage, the push to get out there. I took 3 students, and it was really, really fascinating. The plane ride was long, but the cultural immersion was such a valuable education experience for everybody there. So we went knowing that we wanted to do a tour, and we wanted to hire somebody to take us around. And I think one of the pictures that you have up here has a picture of him taking us to one of their ancient gardens that they have, like right in the middle of the cityscape. And it was just so wonderful and different. I mean, a couple of the things that I noticed first is, so Tokyo is one of the most populous cities, if not the most populous city in the world, but it's quiet, right? If you're in New York City, if you're downtown Indianapolis, and you're going through the streets, you're gonna hear noise, honking, all of that. That's not the expectation in there. So from the sounds, the sights, the food, everything, it was just a wonderful immersive experience.
Yeah, I'm personally pretty jealous that you guys got to because I've always wanted to go to Tokyo, or just Japan in general. Yeah. And just to see all the things, and it's such a big, it's like one of the biggest cities in the world, so you can spend like probably a year there and not get to see everything.
Yeah. I mean, luckily they have amazing public transit system. So once we were able to use all the new technologies to help us get around it, it worked really well. I mean, you would be surprised going abroad, even if there's a major language difference, the type of technologies that we have available to us. So we would use Google Translate has something where you can take a picture of things, and then the picture like of the menu, or we were taking pictures of like the subway sign to show us where to go on the metro, and it automatically translates it for you in there. So having that gave us a cushion, I think, to feel really safe to go and explore as much as we could.
That's amazing. Do you guys plan on going back to Japan, or are you going global anywhere else to compete this year?
Well, we do. We are looking at Ireland this year, so fingers crossed we can make that happen. I mean, we have a championship to defend in informative, and I've got 4 students I'm looking at right now, potentially going there. IFA, the International Forensics Association, is about 35 years old. Every year they go to a different area. So they try to go to the Eastern, Western Hemisphere, going back and forth. And so this time it's going to be in Ireland, in Dublin, which would be very exciting.
Awesome. So what does it take to be one of those students that gets to go global and travel?
Well, we typically have a team that's between like 15 and 16 people, but we have some students that step up to the equivalent of what you all might call like a management role, but they're like the president and 3 vice presidents. And so those are the ones that, in addition to competing, they have a higher standard for the commitment that they have to the team, the managerial stuff that they do and assist me with. And then also, like, you have to be someone with a personality that I want to travel the world with. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
How many students actually got to go to Tokyo?
3. Okay. You'll see in here, this is in some of them. Oh, this is the current year, or current team this year. But Bhumibol Shakya, Whitney Wilson, and Elise Paz. And, you know, something that's neat for us on the team is we have a variety. There's Bhumibol and Whitney. There's the 3 of them. We have majors from all over the university, so you don't have to be a comm student to be in it. Whitney was a comm student, Elise was business, and Bhumibol was in psychology and communication. Yeah.
So it looks like it was pretty successful trip. That's nice.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. I was very proud of them to be able to take on such an expansive, extensive trip in a business-like fashion, and then to support each other as they came out. We had 4 national finals, or international finals, I should say, finalists. So it was a nice culmination. And it's, you know, interesting when you look at a student like Bhumibol Shakya. When he came here, he came from Nepal, and was in the States maybe a week or 2 before he joined the team, because I had interviewed him before he came here. So if you can imagine going and just learning in another country, that's hard enough, but then going and learning and then competing in your second language in another country, it was just phenomenal that he was able to do that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I mean, I guess that's why now he's at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, in a cognitive neuropsychology program.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. We all try to keep touch with each other. Once you've traveled to Japan and back, I guess you're probably going to stay around in each other's lives.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about like what it was like to work with him throughout his speech and debate career?
Yeah, Bhumibol is a beautiful voice, and that is very, very specific about his word choice, right? And some of that is kind of like what you see with international or people who speak English as a second language. That actually becomes a strength because they're thinking so much about the individual words that they say. So when he came in, he already had, you know, a really strong start when he started coaching and not coaching, but competing. And then it just grew and grew. I mean, some of the events that he competed in, one of them is extemporaneous speaking. That's one of the ones that he was international finalist in. And that event, what happens is these students commit to being on a subset of the team where they have to follow all of the world events, all of the news. And then when they get to a tournament, they go into a large room and then they have a certain time when they're going to be there called to speak, and they draw 3 questions. And then they have to pick of those 3 questions about current events, which one they're going to answer. And so you can imagine if it's somebody who's coming from outside the United States answering some domestic US questions, you have a strong or steep learning curve when you're trying to go, okay, well, let me figure out the American system of government so I can say anything about this. But yeah, it was phenomenal working with him with that. He was always really motivated. He would be the one that would be sending out podcasts. You know, if something happens, it's just like news agencies. When you have something going on around the world, you're like, okay, well, we need to figure out what this is and how to cover it and how to talk about it. I mean, any major news event that we have, they have to work really closely together to be able to figure out what are the nuances of domestic and foreign policy.
Yeah. So you've had a couple of competitions so far this year already. Mm-hmm. How have those been?
I'm really, really excited. We have a really strong team coming in. And when you have such great seniors, those 3 graduated, you can get nervous about like who's the next one coming in, but we just have some phenomenal people. We just came back from Ball State University competing, and we have an event called Duo where they do a performance in pairs, and Jordan Weddle and Noah Mabel won their first competition ever in duo, so that was amazing. We also did one virtual one, but next we are headed to Bowling Green State University to compete in November 14th. And then we host our annual tournament that UND puts on December 2nd. So we'll be bringing all of these cool speech and debate kids here to swarm Esh and speak really well in all of our classrooms.
Do we usually host that event?
Every year. It's called the Forensics 500. It's named after Audrey Cunningham. She was the first speech and debate director here. She actually, fun fact for everybody, it was under her directing the team that UND won its first national championship. So no, it was not athletics, although I'm sure they do well. It was actually the speech and debate team here that got our first national championship. We have something up on the walls commemorating that in the comm department. I remember, or I still have, in all of our documents when the president at that time took out a newspaper ad to celebrate her. I mean, she was there for 24 years. It has left an indelible mark. I mean, what we do today is built off of what directors in the past have done, but also what the students do. I mean, the type of work that you do here, and all of you, as well as students on speech and debate team and other applieds, you're building something. A part of you goes into each of these programs, and it's really a wonderful thing to see and look back on how much talent has walked through the doors or gotten off the elevator at Ash, 3rd floor.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about your role that you've taken on as department chair and how you've sort of been adjusting to that. Coming up next.
We'll leave it to our actual athletes. Watch UND TV's live sports broadcast on GLVCSN and YouTube.
The first time I went to Lucas Oil was last year for the 6A Center Grove versus Carroll State High School football game. And I walk in this time thinking I know what's going on, thinking I know what's going to happen. And if I were to say that Lucas Oil lost any effect on you, just the pure vastness that it hits you when you walk in, I'd be wrong. And Jace put it perfectly. He walked in and said, wow. This is the dream, and it is, because the people that we look up to listen to a high school football game of the week on WICR HD3 UND Radio.
We'll leave it to our actual athletes. Watch UND TV's live sports broadcast on GLVCSN and YouTube.
Welcome back to Good Morning Greyhounds. It's Kenna Machino and Logan Wong here with Dr. Wideman. Any new position is hard, but how has it been adjusting to your new position as department chair?
It's been a very interesting process. I use that word interesting about 5 to 6 times a day to mean a lot of different things. But overall, it's been joyful. I knew coming in that my time here, I started in 2017, was largely focused on the speech and debate team. And so if I was going to take on a role where I'm trying to guide the department, I needed to go and figure out exactly what everybody does in all of these applieds. So my favorite part has been when I went in and took phone calls for WICR's fundraising. My favorite parts are coming in here, something like this, and getting to see all of the professionalism and amazing things that all of our students do. I have to say, I've been so well supported by faculty. We just have great people in this department who are so dedicated to making sure that all of our students get a quality education, that are having fun, that feel in belonging, that feel included. And so when you have such good people that you work with, it's really just trying not to get in their way. And I try my best.
Has there been kind of a struggle to balance things now with all the new stuff you do?
I I think any new role, there's a learning curve and you're trying to adapt, right? And like I said, not mess up, really. But what I'm really lucky with is the support that I have from the team. So I have 2 assistant coaches on the team. Both are alums. One is Allie Nickerson. She was human communication major and political science history major. And then Craig and Esther Chikadze, who was also an alum. And they are just phenomenal. I told the students when the shift was made, and they were just, honestly, we're always excited for each other as we take on new things, and really just made it very clear from the beginning that they wanted to support me in this role. So they have started a system of peer coaching. They started, helping each other stay accountable, moving forward with things. But I still like it when I can steal away a little bit and go and coach for a solid couple hours and work one-on-one with students. So adjustment period, but overall very good.
So Dr. Rebecca Gilliland took over as Associate Provost, correct?
Yeah, she did.
So how closely do you work with her?
Well, now or have I in the past?
Both.
Okay, Dr. Rebecca Gilliland is a great example of what we call, I think you've probably seen it on social media, #ComSuperstars. We like to model that for you as well as help you develop yourself. And so honestly, it was not a surprise to me that her services, like her skill set, her knowledge and expertise could be so useful at the university level. So the switch was made, I think a couple weeks before school started. And she has also just been phenomenal during that time period to support me as her being the outgoing chair. But I have to step back and say, when I came in 2017, I remember interviewing here, and a lot of it was the faculty and the students that made me go, this is a place that feels natural, feels like a fit. And Dr. Gilliland, especially, so she very much had a mentoring role for me throughout my time going through the tenure process, throughout my time getting used to UIndy, getting used to Indianapolis, because I'm not from the Midwest. And so we've all just been so happy and so supportive of her and what she's doing at the university level.
Amazing. And for those who might not know, what are some of your duties as department chair?
A lot, no. Yeah, so I manage, you all might not know these terms, but adjuncts, so the adjunct, manage the adjuncts, making sure that your classes are staffed. I do the scheduling with the help of the greatest of all time, Lou Crum. She assists me in putting together all of our scheduling stuff, staffing the classes, the budget for the department, making sure that I approve purchases for fun new cameras. I try to stay on that, right? So that's generally what it is. I mean, it's kind of the administrative portion of the department.
So looking towards the future of the comm department, we have added the theater department out of, they've kind of joined into the comm department. How did all of that kind of start, and what was that process like?
Well, it was quick in one way. We found out in June, and it has become so much more natural than we could have imagined. So if I go back to where the reasoning for it was, for the Department of Theater joining forces with us, which will now be, Department of Theater will now be theater track underneath the Department of Communication. As an umbrella organization for them. So what the need appeared to be in at that time, Department of Theater, was they needed more professional support, professional education services for their students. They had the theater stuff down, but faculty had left that were doing things like showing people how to market shows, showing people how to do certain things with different types of productions, that type of thing. And so when people at the university level looked at it, they saw that there's this natural fit that can happen here. And to be honest, at first, I think we were all like, huh? Because you go, okay, electronic media, speech and debate, right. PR, theater.
So it was kind of out of the blue.
It wasn't out of the blue, I would say, as much as I think there was planning for a long time. And mind you, I wasn't chair at this time, so I wasn't privy to most of this. But when I sat down and with the tenure track, new recent hire, Dr. Grant Williams, who has been here for years, but not at the assistant professor level, and we started culling through all of the curriculum, we started seeing how many experiences this would open up for not only theater students, but also for you all as well. And it's been fantastic. It's weird that they're actually in the basement of ESH and we're on the top floor of ESH. So trying to get you all to go down and see those facilities, get them to come up to see everything that we have to offer has been concerted an effort, definitely. But we've started to see so much crossover that can happen here. In fact, Top Dog, our student-run PR agency, is working with the theater the theater track this semester, and I think probably next semester as well, to host what they will be announcing as, I'll tell you the term, and then you can wait to find out exactly what it means. Cabaret. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be lit. I know. That's all I know. But it's gonna be a celebration of sorts about us joining forces to provide an even more exciting educational experience for all of you, and that'll be next semester.
So is there any more room for expansion for the comm department? I know there is talk about the new applied sports class.
Yeah, that's another really fun thing we've been doing with curriculum. It's been busy. So theater, yes, there is more. We have always had, not always, but for a number of years we've had what's called sports communication track, right? And the way that it operated for most of the time was people would do their hands-on work, because that's what we're known for, and the Department of Communication is, as you're learning, you're doing, right? So they had done their hands-on work through electronic media, either TV or radio, right? But we always wanted to get it to where we could get them more behind the scenes, what they call SID work, sports information directing work. And it was kind of on a whim, I think, that I went with Professor Dunkel from our department over to the SID office at UND and met with Cody Wainscott and really just said, hey, are you interested in a partnership? And it was trying to find out, like, have you hired some of our students? And what they said was, well, we know that your students are phenomenal in writing, communication skills, and all of that, but what we really also need to have when we hire people are people who have hands-on game experience. And forgive me, I'm not a sports person, but from what I understand, that means doing statistics. There's some NCAA software that helps you learn that, announcing games, being on the PA, clock. All those things sound right?
Yes,
Yeah, don't worry, I'm not teaching that class. And so we've created a partnership, and we put out a class this semester that is already on the books. It's under COM 341 that people can take for Sports Applied. It'll be taught by Cody Wainscott. Then starting in the fall, we're gonna have it actually as an official applied area that people can take. It's 1 credit hour. I mean, as most of our students in the comm department know, we try to encourage you all to cross over from those, to not silo yourself into something. So we're really excited about the possibilities for that experience.
And will that sports applied and theater kind of follow the same applied formula of having like a management team? Okay.
Yep, that's what we're looking for. I think, I don't want to give you too much inside baseball. Is that that's a sports term, right? Yeah. But we're looking about 2. We would be hiring 2 per coming up in the fall. So there's going to be even more opportunities for you all to get that experience. And it's just really cool. We're very proud that we've been entrusted to not only expand in sports comm, but also to partner with the theater program here. I think it's going to be nothing but good.
Did you have anything to add to that? I know you've done some work with sports information.
Yeah, I think it's really great that we're offering the applied, because Logan and I both have actually done some work with sports information, and I think it's great that we can actually put that on our resume now as an applied that we have done. And
yeah, we talk about networking here all the time, and not something in the department that is do this on some special event, but you're constantly networking. When every student shows up on campus, it's a job. You're probably sitting next to someone who you're going to be asking for work reference for. later on, this gets you a chance to be in there, right? The actual office for our Sports Comm Applied will be over in the Sports Information office. So that hands-on, I think, just accelerates the experience. But I'm so glad to hear that you had a great experience doing work with them. They seem to be really, really cool.
Yes. And are there any other changes that we can expect coming to the curriculum for the comm department?
Some. It's nothing major, but again, it's always onward and upwards. So I think that we are looking at the electronic media concentration or track, right? Mm-hmm. And just making sure, as we constantly do with our curriculum, making sure that we're offering you the most up-to-date, the most relevant, the best experiences that we can. So I think it's something that I never recognized as an undergraduate student or a graduate student. You just kind of like sign up for classes and take them, but not really thinking, or why would you even appreciate, like, it's a lot of work. Like, it's very serious business behind the scenes looking at all of this to make sure that you're getting what you need. So nothing revolutionary, all good, all positives.
So we'll have more from Stephanie Wideman after the break.
We'll leave it to our actual athletes. Watch UND TV's live sports broadcast on GLVCSN and YouTube.
The first time I went to Lucas Oil was last year for the 6A Center Grove versus Carroll State high school football game. And I walk in this time thinking I know what's going on, thinking I know what's going to happen. And if I were to say that Lucas Oil lost any effect on you, just the pure vastness that it hits you when you walk in, I'd be wrong. And Jace put it perfectly. He walked in and said, wow, this is the dream. And it is, because the people that we look up to listen to a high school football game of the week on WICR HD3 UND Radio.
Welcome back to Good Morning Greyhounds, here again with Dr. Wideman. So, tell me about your position on the Shaheen Grants Committee and how that affects students.
I think it's always good to know some of the background about how academia works, and this is a really interesting one. So we all do service, being on faculty. The Shaheen Grants Committee is being rebranded, named now Shaheen Scholars Program. For people who are students in the college, Shaheen College of Arts and Sciences, you have some unique funding available to you. Yvonne Shaheen is one of our largest benefactors. I mean, clearly this college is named after her. She gave a large sum of money, and this sum of money specifically, she wants it to go to students to get new experiences. So students can apply for a grant, right, a sum of money, and it sounds a lot scarier than it is. So I'm really here to give you the message that it is not scary to do this. We want to work with you. You apply for that, and that can help you go to, she wants to fund global experiences, she wants to fund people who have never been to a professional conference before, or people who are first generation, but I mean really a broad swath of students. And the students that maybe normally don't have those experiences, I mean, or know how to get that funding. So we've had numerous people in the Department of Communication be funded. The Tokyo trip was partially funded by a grant, right? I know electronic media has taken or gotten grants to help go to these professional conferences. So it's something we're working very hard to get the word out and make it as easy as we possibly can. But tell your friends, right? You've got to do work for it, obviously, and you've got to have something substantial. But I mean, we're the only ones on campus that have that special funding for it.
And how can we apply for that funding?
If you go to Shaheen College of Arts and Science main page and look for Shaheen Scholars Program, or just Google UND Shaheen College Grants, that's going to come up. So Shaheen, SHAHEEN. And it gives you directions on that. Another thing that you can do is ask someone on the committee. Feel free to talk to me. We've got a number of people on there, and it's run by the dean. So we've got a lot of people who'd be happy to help you navigate that process as you try to reach your goals above and beyond them, headed toward graduation.
So last question, more of a fun question.
Okay.
when you have free time, I know you're a busy woman, what do you like to do?
I do, okay, we can share. The thing I have been doing lately when I zone out, I do like to listen to podcasts when I get home, but the weird thing I'm doing, 90 Day Fiance, has anybody seen that? It's quality television programming. And there's one where they're at a resort in the Keys, and it's their last chance now to like get their relationship working well. It's really, I've been through an emotional roller coaster with these people, but I feel like it's a good use of my time. So, a plug for that, 90 Day Fiance, go Big Angie.
Well, appreciate you coming on the show. We'll have more on Thursday for UND TV News, and have a good rest of your day.